to know.
I know, right? Okay, so we are live. This is China Talk. Hubo,
We're gonna get flamed so much.
contain yourself.
Hubo, stop.
Okay. We're on Gamers. This is
times.
if you've never seen us before, China Talk finally moved off of the previous platform of Paravine. We are now on Gamers. This will be our home for the rest of our remaining series, which may be canceled next episode. Just see what happens in Twitch chat. I'm your host, Frostgrid. I'm the LPL Shoutcaster. Next to me, I believe, is going to be Drexen, editor-in-chief of Esports Heaven. On the other side is going to be Kelsey Moser, actually representing On Gamers. And then below me, I believe we have Hubo representing Paravine.com. Please don't flame Marino. We were supposed to have Rizani, the Maki Esports GPL coach. Unfortunately, maybe running late. We'll see if he kind of pops in during the middle of the show or if we can get into contact with him. But kind of disappointing. I was really looking forward to having like a GPL expert on the panel. But otherwise, hi guys.
Hello.
Hi.
No, okay, we have a ton to talk about actually, but we're just gonna like break it down by game. So first and foremost, we're gonna be talking about obviously the group stage that just passed, Group A and B. We had the two Chinese teams, EDG and Starhorn Royal Cup played. OMG, of course, is going to be located in Group C with Samsung Blue, Fnatic, and LMQ. So let's just, like, start it off. EDG versus Samsung White. None of us had any expectations that this was going to be close at all. So let's first talk to the very intro game. Does anyone want to take it from here, Hugo?
I didn't know it would be that bad.
Bad? Just the slaughter?
I didn't think it would be that bad. Like, I didn't know that EDG would get fucked so hard. I actually thought it would be slightly better. But, honestly, you know, I think just, if we're talking about the first game and second game as a whole, first game went pretty well. I thought EDG had a few good moves, but then the reason why they lost was because they got split up by Rumble ults, and, you know, people are saying to me as a joke that it might be true. Rumble might be the new Morgana for China, because we don't...
Yeah.
They're not playing well.
They don't.
Right?
Well, here's the thing: Rumble isn't like you think back to PDD.
PDD.
Maybe that was the last Rumble player, and we don't have there was no Rumble played. Like
the thing is though, like in terms of, and this is why I had such an issue with the fucking LoL esports list, and I tweeted this out. The first name that came out was fucking Clearlove, and he doesn't deserve to be top 20 on that list. Like he's the fourth worst member of that team by far. I think
Well, to
he
be
got
fair, there's
destroyed
only
by
15
Dandy.
Korean players going, so they
Yeah,
had at least 5 spots to fill.
But you know, Danny didn't do any. I don't think Danny did anything special. He played normally. Like he didn't play exceptionally. He just played normal Dandy. Even though he's the best in the world, and Clearlove just got destroyed.
I just imagine Dandy like standing to the side and watching Insect play Rengar and just shaking his head and be like, "That's not how you play that champion. I'll show you how to play that champion."
The thing is, though, that I think the reason why Clearlove ended up number 20 on the list is because literally most people just watch playoffs, right? They just watch playoffs and regionals. And Clearlove doesn't play like this in LPL regionals and playoffs, right? He actually plays like he can occasionally jungle.
But my question was why didn't he play he played Nunu during the playoffs? Like where the fuck was the Nunu? Where was
They said they had absolutely no incentive to try in this group stage. They said they could either really try. Aaron said publicly that they could either really throw out their strategies and the things that they've been practicing in groups and maybe do something against Samsung White, or they could save their strategies going forward. And really, if you think about it strategically, the second seed is much more advantageous for Edward Gaming regardless, because first of all, they're going to go against, they assumed that Starhorn Royal Club would get first seed from Group B. They've played against Starhorn Royal Club a lot. They know how to beat them. Then, going forward, Najin White Shield versus Samsung Blue. Who would you rather face? So they said publicly, we're not going to throw out our strategies. We're going to keep a lot of stuff hidden. So they kind of took that group stage almost like they would approach LPL regular season. Of course, they did play a lot worse than a lot of people expected them to, but
it was pretty bad. It was pretty terrible. Additionally, you didn't look clean in a lot of his games. I mean, his Zed game was pretty good. Congratulations, you had a good Zed. It was worse than West Doors. Let's be frank. Whatever. EDG's. I thought EDG had a chance. They have no chance. From what I saw in the group stages, they have no chance, honestly.
But you don't think at all that what Kelsey's saying is correct, that EDG, because I mean, like you said, if if we were to expect as Chinese analysts that Clearlove or EDG would be playing at max performance, they would play Twitch, they would play Jinx, he would play Lee Sin, or he would play Nunu. He does not play Ringor or Kha'Zix well. Or Evelyn. Oh, we have...
What in the world?
Everyone got moved over.
Oh, shit.
Okay, it looks like our guest has decided to join us. Hi, guest.
Sorry about that. Couldn't quite join. Just for
we are so unprofessional with this shit. Holy
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta reschedule the boxes.
Okay.
Kelsey, lead
Maki
with, or lead Reasony with introductions.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so hi everyone. This is our slightly late guest, Reasony, who is the coach of Maki Esports. And you might be wondering, what is Maki Esports? Well, it's a Taiwanese team. It is not either the Taiwanese teams that made Worlds, and I can let him talk about that if he wants. But he's here today to sort of shed some light and context on Taiwan, the way that Thomas Watts talked a little bit about Korea, and he's probably going to tell us a little bit about why China sucks. Or at least this is what we wanted Thomas to do, and he failed to do so. So we're hoping that Maki, that Reasoning will step up to the plate.
Yeah, I'll just say this before Reasoning can have his thing. Just to complete the whole thought about Aaron. Aaron said that in public because we saw the article before, and it appeared on Reddit before the tournament actually started. After Aaron had said that, and by the way, this guy's a shady fucking history, right? So after Aaron had said
Understatement of the year.
If EDG had lost after Aaron had said that, Aaron would have been publicly executed. Like, I swear to God, someone would have gone into his house and killed him. Like, the full fucking fury of China would be on him right now. So thank God they won. And HQ didn't deserve that kind of, they didn't deserve that kind of disrespect because Westdoor almost carried them out of the loss. But what are you gonna do?
What are you speaking to, Hubo, as far as disrespect? Are you speaking to big fans?
No. Like, the disrespect it was obvious that I'm not saying that Aaron made a statement that basically implying that they wouldn't take these games as seriously as they would, if it was a best of 5 set, and they're trying to go to the World Finals, right? So I'm assuming that's correct. The problem is that if Aaron did not make those comments, and EDG still lost to AHQ in the second game, I wouldn't have a problem. But the problem is that he had the gall to make those comments, which basically, it tells us he's very confident that EDG was going to pass, which is evidently, which was evidently wrong of him because they got destroyed by AHQ, right? Plus, they got destroyed by AHQ, and they did it by playing a Lucian Jace composition, which was so dumb. Lucian Jace is so dumb. They played it in North America all the time, and it didn't work at all. Like, why would you ever play a Siege composition with Lulu top with a short-range AD carry?
Because
doesn't make sense.
Obviously, weren't trying anything seriously. Like they don't play Jace. They don't play Siege comps. It was really awkward. But I don't know. We can go into more detail with that later. Obviously, I don't think it was the Siege composition that screwed them because they were ahead for most of the game and then they just lost 2 fights in a row. They got EDG'd by AHQ essentially. So.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that it's really interesting.
Oh, wait, before we start breaking down this, because we're still I want to introduce Reasony. So first and foremost, Reasony is our GPL guest. You will see him on camera in a second once I get his box set here. He's the coach of Maki Esports. So first and foremost, Reasony, who are Maki Esports, and kind of what is your history with the GPL?
So basically, you actually pronounce it as Machi, weirdly.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay. It's alright. Okay.
I get everything from Kelsey.
Oh, okay. It does just show you how unknown we are, and everyone in the GPL, how people just don't care us at all. Just kidding. So basically, after season 3, there's this Taiwanese rap singer, Jeff, owner of Machi Entertainment. So he wanted to be this little guy who beat the big guy Koreans, right? He wanted to basically relive this season 2 dream, and then start with this small team called Machi Esports with really limited resources whatsoever. And Machi, this is help you to remember. Machi means bro in Taiwanese, bro. Okay, and it's just got lucky that we kind of got lucky going to GPL because Type Snipers who just lost mistake, UA Flash was really underperforming, so go through that promotion series. and just some roster changes we had to do because of the how clouds issue were there. We had someone who was damaging the atmosphere of the team as well, and then we got some new guys in a sudden manner, and then Garena just told us after 2 weeks, hey, they elo boosted before they become pro, so they couldn't play for a whole year. You have to either play with your owner or play with your manager, who was Diamond 2. So
he's like the oldest player to ever play competitive League of Legends, yeah?
For the whole, just for that one day, but yes, 40-something years old? I can't
44,
remember.
I
his name's Big Brother, right? That was
We're talking about the rapper, right?
Yes, the rapper. The rapper was the owner, and then they were like, okay, Silver 3 maybe doesn't work. Okay, Diamond 2 would work. That's their reasoning. And they wouldn't let us to do any other roster changes because of the rules, which, anyways, that's why we were kind of underperforming. No one knew us. Quite sad. But yeah.
Had your original roster stayed true, do you think that there was a chance for you guys to make it to the world stage?
Probably not the world, but we definitely could have some run in the playoffs, and at least will be more well known. Would have been more well known, yes.
Okay.
I think, yeah. And basically, I started watching more GPL because of that. More Taiwanese actually, so I would call myself more like Taiwanese expert rather than GPL expert, because there are Vietnamese, Thai that I clearly don't have that much knowledge about, but just a little bit know.
So the next big question specifically to you guys, and of course our panel can jump on, is the disparity, because I think it's very apparent, although AHQ showing up in their last game against EDG, the disparity between TPA and the rest of the GPL. I mean, can you give me a back? Like, why do you, as someone playing in that region, like, think that is? Is this the casters on the desk said a lot that the fact that these guys scrim Korean teams, is it just the quality of practice, or is there something innately going on with that organization as far as its structure?
There are really many factors. First of all, they really did a lot of roster changes over the past year. So they try to find who can click with each other and such. And in season 3, they really didn't perform well at all. They really didn't perform well at all. That was AHQ's time to shine. But they did a lot of roster changes. But in Taiwan, every single team basically rely on their roster.
We lost him.
Join the scene.
There he goes.
Everyone can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry about basically everyone just rely on the raw talents, and not many people have that. Like, Chaser made this statement in, like, the Chaser over there in Paravan, right? He made this statement about how Taiwanese had the similar Eastern culture like Korea. But in Taiwan, it's actually not like that. We don't really have that much of commitment like Korea. A lot of players just there to play, fool around, and it's really quite bad in terms of their dedication. So that dedication come into play. Everyone rely on raw talents, and the coaching staff. We really don't have anyone. Well, we have some guys from old CS players, but we don't have any coaching staff to, like, in my opinion, to, like, really good ones.
So
yeah.
It sounds like you're speaking to specifically like the GPL structure as coaching. From watching the did you watch the documentary Road to Worlds that League of Legends put out?
Yes.
From watching that, when it did the whole thing about a TPA and you see them leaving their house and going to what I assumed was the facility where they would play and practice, it almost looked kind of Korean-esque in the fact that, at least from my perception as a bystander, that they were leaving their homes. It wasn't like a gamer house. They didn't all live together, and they were going to a facility to all play together and practice together. Is that not how it's set up?
Okay, so it looks like Korean because we try to copy them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Taipei snipers they were formed because of that reason, but so they try to create that. It is extremely hard to get scrims from them because they just want to scrim with Taipei snipers, and then so that comes into play as well. But then, so they try to copy each other, but their coaching is nowhere near that Korean level. They're, because because I don't know if you have watched this. Suzy Kim. Suzy Kim did a lot of interviews with like little interviews in the world, right? And he did this with no, she did this with the TPA's coach, and TPA's coach was like Sim Song-soo, by the way. So he was formerly from Najin, and he was like, okay, the difference between here and Korea was that in Korea we have really strict training regime. And when I came here, I tried to implement this into this team, into TPA, but we have a long road to go. So, I mean, I really feel that pain because it's just how it's not even that if they want to play or not. It's just there's some kind of commitment that is lacking, and they don't really listen that well sometimes.
This is very similar to what when the Korean players were brought over to China, what all the coaches were saying, that you know, it's not just the Korean talent that they want, it's the Korean mentality of the respect for the coach and listening to the coach and respecting like the regimen and the schedule.
So apparently it looks like we have that set up, but no, not at all. It's nowhere near that level, and it's been criticized and it's been known to the public that we basically kind of fool ourselves, and that's why kind of like some people put some hope on me because they look at my articles. Oh, at least the guys know some shit, unlike other coaches. But nah, it's super hard. It's harder than what people think.
Okay. So again, just kind of shooting back to TPA, because I mean, watching TPA, I don't really know anything about the team. They looked so much stronger than their counterparts AHQ. That said, AHQ did show up big against EDG. That said, AHQ was definitely in the harder group to perform, having the same group as, you know, not only Dark Passage, but Samsung White and EDG, second and first seeds from China. I mean, is there a big disparity?
I thought it was really funny though that the TPA positions that were especially lacking, namely the support and mid lane positions, were the strengths of
the
AHQ.
thriving ones of AHQ.
Yeah, I thought that was really really ironic. Like, what if you put those together?
I just thought, okay, that match against EDG was, it was everything, so we're gonna talk about this match, right? That was so lucky for AHQ because they basically performed the best.
And you're talking about EDG versus AHQ?
Yes, EDG versus AHQ because since we're kind of talking about that. Oh wait, I'll go back to why TPA is still strong, still dominant in Southeast Asia first. It's just because no one is improving in that region, and TPA kind of got a little bit more, and their players still have more commitment than other players, so they kind of still up here when others were here before that coach come, and then once Sim Song-soo came, Najin coaches really changed everything around. They made TPA way up here when everyone is still here, not improving. So, and I really think that TPA improved way too much.
They got good.
It was surprising because back in GPO spring, they were like AHQ. They were like that, except with a different style. And just 2 months, they became like this.
Identify
so much. Yes.
AHQ style for me, because when you talk about, you know, they were like AHQ, they were like that style. So if you had to just like quickly bullet point, like the difference between EDG and Starhorn Royal Club for us is Starhorn Royal Club is very aggressive, objective oriented. EDG is very late game team fight oriented. So that would be like how I would say the difference between these teams are. AHQ and TPA, what is the difference between these two teams if you were trying to explain it?
I do think that TPA is kind of changing their team colors. So, but then they're still kind of mid to late game a little bit team fight focused, but they still try to implement kind of the Korean style, try to learn how to take objectives quickly. So they're still forming their own team color, but AHQ is basically my star is mid lane, west door. You saw that guy, and then we just basically try to create picks around that perimeter, around the river, around the mid lane, and we just try to create picks, and you snowball from there. That's basically AHQ, and that's why I think it's really a stylistic mismatch between them and EDG, because when EDG goes on the warding or they put all their vision around Baron, their other side of the map is really dark, and that's where AHQ can shine when they can create picks. That said, they are not really good at it. So it was something about EDG, I really think.
I do want to say, though, that for this meta for it's really AHQ's meta right now.
Yes.
Because if you think about it, we've been talking about Westor's Fizz and his Zed since IEM Katowice, which is like, what, that's a year ago. That's nearly a year ago. So, like, honestly, if I was playing Zed and Fizz for that long, I'd be able to do the same shit that he does. Like, I'm gonna be frank. So, what Westor did was incredibly impressive. But then I see people like comparing him to Faker. The reason why he's not Faker is because not only is he like not as skilled on those champions, it's because Faker just can play a wealth of different champions, while this guy can only play Fizz and Zed to a very high level. So once you give him Zed, the game might be over. But if you ban those two champions and maybe the Thresh, then the game's it swings wide open for most teams.
So
I just wanted to add that because that point was so important, because he would have played even though they are not in beta. So GPL Spring, GPL Winter, he will always put them out because he could only play them. So yeah.
So what I'm getting so far is it was almost like the perfect storm almost for AHQ to really rise up. It had to be EDG just because of their playstyle, and you're saying how EDG's playstyle matches up against AHQ was amazing. The fact that Westor, he got the champions, like the meta was perfectly aligned for him. Do you have anything else to say about that specific game? I mean that's impressive that the second place GPLC took down the first seed Chinese team and forced it to a tiebreaker. I mean, as far as all three games combined, so if you take the first time they played, the second time, what would you say, or what would you take away from that about AHQ and EDG?
I really think just that EDG is kind of they were not respecting AHQ at all. I do think in that second match, they just like what Sodra said, they pick the whole comp is about mid sieging. Like mid-game sieging, and they are a team that wants to go late game and go team fighting, and I just think it was really, really disrespectful and really, really dumb for them to pick that kind of composition. I don't even know if they knew about that, but that's a really still become considering what their strength is, and they kind of look a little bit weird, and I hate that Lucian pick, but they kind of look a little bit, I don't know if it's nervous or they were they kind of went on tilt or something, but Nami positioning later in that game was just horrible.
Talk about the SHRC.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'd be tilting too, dude.
Yeah, he played that game really poorly.
I'd be tilting too. Dude, China, the wrath of China was upon me, dude. Like,
yeah, the wrath of China is so on Nami and Clearlove right now.
You think the wrath of Reddit is bad? Check these Chinese motherfuckers.
There
are some original gangsters in China.
I know, right? Again, the Chinese fan base is so rabid and can be so intense. Popping the OMG balloons that is not where those players want to be. I wanted to kind of kick this over to our panelists because we're talking about something really interesting, and that's EDG style. And I wanted to, just make this statement. You guys can agree or disagree. Bullet point me. I feel like EDG's primary weakness as a team is that they don't have a lot of. In fact, I'm going to generalize, and I'm going to say,
sucks.
China's weakness as a region is that I feel like China is very creative in that they can create a ton of compositions to do what they want to do as far as, team fighting and all of that. But I feel like they don't have many playstyles. I feel like we will never see a Chinese team use a siege composition or a poke composition.
We did.
Well, they did, but it was
turned
just
out.
bad.
Like never, you know what I mean? Like they never
again.
go about it well. Would you guys agree? Do you think that China only has one play style?
But the question is, why is that a problem though? Because the meta favors
when you
that
meet
one
someone like
playstyle.
AHQ, who's able to bring out.
But in the HQ game, they were playing outside of their style though. Is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So why divert from the original style when the meta favors you fighting a dragon? But additionally, I think it really comes down to like the early game is terrible. And when you have Clearlove, who's fucking around in the his top side of his jungle while His top lane was being
His
killed.
top lane was
Dragon
literally
Stone.
getting dove. They had vision of
And-
it coming in, and he stayed farming in the jungle.
And
I
they
could not
stayed for,
believe
like,
that.
I really gotta farm
And
this
then
race,
you should-
guys.
you should
I
see
could
the-
not believe that.
In the 5 seconds, he was going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Like, he didn't know what to do. It was literally one of the worst things I'd ever seen in my entire life. Like,
I wanted to make a comic about Clearlove's performance, and this is after the Samsung White game of, like, Clearlove on Jarvan. He built Sightstone Jarvan. Can we talk about that? This guy built Sightstone Jarvan, and all he did was clear wards, and I just had this vision in my head, like, Name's getting throttled in the bot lane by Mana. Mana's just, like, choking him out, and Clearlove's, like, running around, like, killing pink wards, like, right in the river in front of Dragon, and Name's getting, like, solo killed, like... That's how that game... And I'm just like, what is going on here? Which, again, I think... Obviously, that's a huge misstep. Like, don't take this as me making an excuse for EDG. They done fucked up. They done fucked up hard. But it's so very apparent to me that they're not playing how they did in playoffs, which to me reads that they're not playing to win. So I think this is very much a disrespect issue. If Clearlove was playing to be a jungler, he would play Lee Sin or he would play Nunu. Like, those are the... Or Evelyn. And we didn't see any of those picks.
he needs to play the new.
Yeah, Nunu.
It's the Name composition.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, they didn't pull that out. So I mean, does that lend credibility, or are we just like, no, EDG, you done fucked up?
Well, I think it's a
That's
mixture.
disrespect, dude.
Really. I mean, okay, so, yeah, okay, of course EDG didn't play to their playoff performance, and Clearlove definitely didn't jungle like he did in his playoff performance. So, yeah, I mean, okay, as panelists and people that have been watching the Chinese scene for a while, we're used to EDG, like, you know, having upsets and, you know, rather disappointing performances in the regular
Losing to
season.
the 8th place
they
LPL
lost,
team.
They lost 0-2 to Young Glory, yeah, that did happen. But at the same time, I feel like they played even worse than they did in the regular season here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a mixture of a lack of respect and possibly a lack of international exposure for a bit of the team, just because it is like Name's first international competition. And I don't want to use that excuse like too heavily because, like, I mean, honestly, I'd be in denial if I said Name wasn't something. Like, I understand he's the team fighting AD carry, but he did lose the game. He did lose the game, like, did lose the game specifically because of positioning. And additionally, yeah, of course he's not like this lane-winning god in China, right? But I mean, he was even in China, you know, he did better in lane when he was against like Uzi Zero compared to how he was doing just against, you know, basically anyone in this group up until the final day.
Do you think, like, give me a bet. Do you think that EDG will look different in quarterfinals? Do you think that they're just gonna they're gonna be the team that we keep saying that they're going to be?
I think they will look better in quarterfinals, but I mean, I'm still like not too sold on them right now. I'm a little bit disappointed because, yeah, EDG clearly held back. Like, they were very public about that, and just knowing EDG's potential, they did hold back, but I don't think they meant to play so sloppily like they did. But at the same time, like, they're definitely not the only one in their group that held back. I mean, unfortunately, look at Samsung. Like, it looked like they were just playing with their food in the group because they literally revealed nothing in that entire group and smashed it. Like, they straight up just played like different champions every single game. They like intentionally didn't close when they could have closed on multiple occasions, and they just smashed everybody. So, yeah, EDG will show up better in the playoffs. I'm confident of that because they always have. But they're not the only ones messing around in that group, and they're looking not anywhere near as dominant. So it is kind of concerning.
I think the real question is Name overrated?
No, I think that's unfair to say.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I think it's unfair to say he's overrated.
I've been telling you all that he's overrated since like a month ago. And
well,
I think this
okay, let's talk about what is he overrated. Because people keep saying that that he has perfect positioning. I have never said he has perfect positioning.
Okay, but if we say he's overrated judging by the stage of Worlds, then it's not. Then if that's fair, then it's fair to say that Dade and Mata were overrated for like all of after Season 3 because of their group performance at S3 Worlds, and I don't think that's fair to say.
But yeah, Dade was slightly overrated during Season 3 Worlds. That's true, and.
But at the time,
he's coming overrated as well. I've said this before. Like he's very liberal with summoner spells. In lane he makes rash decisions, and in team fights there are times when I think that he tunnels in on certain targets when he should be, you know, establishing a clear zone. In team I've said that for a long time. I think these mistakes are being punished even more heavily now against a team like Samsung White. Like they got dumpstered by Samsung White. And it wasn't even early game advantages, though.
The first game, I think, was very close.
Yeah, the first game was close, but then...
The second game, yeah, but, I mean, EDG had already started their downward spiral of death.
I actually think the laning phase went a little bit better for EDG in the second game, but that game overall was much more devastating. Laning phase for EDG, I mean laning phase for Name and FCZF. But I want to go back a little bit and talk about something. I got steamrolled, but yes. So, I got a lot of shit on Twitter when people kept saying things like, oh, it's so stupid that EDG has to play another best of 3 to get first seed. They're clearly like 10 million years ahead of all the other Chinese teams and blah, blah, and now everyone's like, EDG is so overrated, EDG is such a shit team, Starhorn Rock Club is clearly a much better team, and it's like, this is how variable things are based on like a handful of performances that people see. And when I would say things like, no, for most of the year, OMG looked like a much better team than EDG in terms of both international competition and stuff. Of course, OMG does not look good right now at all, but like this is the thing. Like, it's hard to say that based on a selection of games, this team is shit or this team is good, and people are like really quick to assess teams based on this opinion. It was not uncommon at all for EDG to drop games to the lower LPL teams. In spring, they dropped a game to Positive Energy, which that iteration of Positive Energy was quite possibly the worst Chinese team to ever play in LPL. They in summer they got 2-0'd by Young Glory before Young Glory like started looking really good. This is how EDG... I feel like when Clearlove is playing normally, it's so not natural for him to actually jungle like a semi-competent jungler. He has to like really concentrate on thinking about, this is where the enemy jungler's going, this is the lane I should be ganking, this is the path that I should take here, what I should do with the warding here. That it's almost like he's trying to play chess with Magnus Carlsen just to like have a semi-competent pathing, and he can't keep up that standard consistently and continuously. But he has some control over when he can, and he'll do that for like really important matches. Of course, I can say that now, but saying that for 2 splits he's played like really poorly during the regular LPL split, and he's played like passively during the playoffs, and like had much tighter control during playoffs for 2 splits, doesn't really establish a track record of consistency, especially since the entire time on Worlds Elite he kind of just like didn't jungle much and relied on Messiah to control the map pressure. But I do think based on these 2 splits, that he will show a better performance in quarterfinals.
Drexen, last statements.
It's all you.
I just think, Name is playing like utter shit right now. I'm not going to deny that, relative to his skill in the LPL. But honestly, I feel like people saying he's been overrated the whole time haven't watched enough LPL games in like later phases. There's just some things he does that you just cannot deny are extremely good. But I mean, okay, if people have a bad tournament, they do, and it's possible that maybe even the quarterfinals will suck. But until he's like shitting the bed in all the quarterfinals, and then he like proceeds to like do shitty afterwards, because I mean, I'm sure there's bound to be like some third-party tournaments that pop up before the next LPL split or whatever, or at least it seems likely. Like, I don't know. I'm not like convinced he's overrated yet, because I feel like just from group performances, it's not a fair thing to say. But I will say this is like legit the worst tournament he's ever played in by far, and he has not been impressive at all. He's literally just been displaying the opposite of what he's been hyped up for, and that is a problem.
I do actually think Name played a lot better than you're giving him credit for. Also, like, but
I think
but
at the end of the day he played quite well, actually.
Yeah, today I think he played, like, the last 2 games that he played pretty well. I think he played team fights fairly well for the most part. Like, obviously that one AHQ game was not a good representation. But you're saying he played like shit, and it's like, it's shit relative to what we're used to seeing him play like.
It's shit relative to him, but we're talking about whether he's the best in the world. So, are you the greatest AD carry of all time, right? Like, this guy won 3 seasons of LPL, and that's what we're debating right now. Here's what I'll say. First of all, a lot of the people in Twitch chat haven't watched, the seasons of LPL, but I've watched multiple seasons of LPL, and I'll tell you, Twitch chat, right now, that Nami is a little bit overrated, so fuck him. Second of all, I don't think you can blame fans for jumping to conclusions after the group stage of World Championships. Because, it's obviously it's not fair to Nami, but it's not fair to the fans as well, because you're expected to step up in the most important time of your life, basically. And
was it the most important? Like, they got out.
They got out. They almost lost the AHQ.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, strategically, they were fine. Like, I don't think that they... Like, as soon as they messed up against AHQ and it came down to that third game, I think that's when they were like, okay, guys, like, snap out of it, wake the fuck up. But
I mean, they were losing fights with 3K gold lead.
I mean,
they also
won
a
like
fight against
really
Samsung White with 10K
fights.
gold lead down with a against a Baron buff. Like,
Okay.
There were 2 different extremes from EDG here, but they already said that they were looking at the other groups, that they weren't. Because I mean, look at your group and think how you would take that from like a coaching or player's perspective. You have Samsung White, you have EDG, and then you have 2 teams who everyone had completely written off. Obviously, it was a huge mistake to write off AHQ because it bit them in the ass. Like, straight up, just bit them in the ass. But they publicly say, we're looking at Group B. We're looking at all of those teams that we're going to face in the future because we know that we're going to end second here, which they did. You don't think like that's a factor
First
at
of
all?
all, I don't think
almost did
Name
not.
is the best ADC. I think Wei Xiao is, so you could all dig
Get
out
out of here,
Actually,
World
actually-
Elite.
Okay, we're talking
Wei Xiao
about
is the
active
best
players. Wei Xiao is the best AD carry, but
Yeah,
he
if we're talking about
retired.
active players, Wei Zhao was the best AD carry.
This
at
comes
the time
down
of the
to Uzi, Name, Deft, and Imp.
Imp,
But
Wei
there's
Zhao.
something-
Wei
but there's
Zhao was better. Wei Zhao, I'll say this right now. Wei Zhao was better than Name. Wei Zhao was better than Deft. Wei Zhao was better than Imp. At the time of his
You
retirement.
didn't say Uzi.
Wei Zhao was that good. Excuse me?
Okay, but here's something else I want to touch up on, because a lot of people are drawing comparisons from Nami's current performance to Uzi's performance, right? And the thing is, Uzi's team is playing better, for one. Uzi is showing up really well at Worlds, but additionally, the people in his group don't know how to stop him, right? So, a lot of the times he used to play over-aggressive and throw for his team, because he'd play over-aggressive, like, just very selfishly, and then, they'd catch him off guard and, like, kill him for it, because he'd, like, try to be too flashy as mechanics. Lately, he's been able to do that and completely get away with it, like, almost like Imp level of forgiveness, apparently, on his playstyle. So, it makes him look insanely, and don't get me wrong, he is playing insanely well. I will say he is probably the best performing AD carry right now in the tournament, just from how he's been playing in the group stage relative to other AD carries, except for maybe Imp. But even Imp, I'd say Imp has made more potential game-losing mistakes, but then again, that draws back to Samsung White potentially not trying too much either. But yeah, like, Uzi has not been being punished for the play that he's usually punished for in China. I mean, it's not so much that he's always punished, because obviously Starhorn wouldn't have been placing very well if he was. But, like, he literally hasn't been punished at all for the way he's been playing. Like, he's just been dominating lane, like, early without any jungle pressure. He's been having free reign in team fights and positioning, and teams are not used to stopping him the way he's playing right now. And, I mean, if you draw that conclusion to, like, Name, who's, like, a safer AD carry, it's a little easier to shut that down with, like, less time studying and approaching your opponent. So,
I know that, like, from what I've heard, there were, like, a few bottom lanes in that Group B who were like, holy shit, we did not know what we were getting into. Like, Uzi and Zero are that good. By the way, can we offer a fucking public apology to everyone?
No.
The Chinese players still say Uzi.
The Chinese players say Uzi. Says Uzi.
We've just been confusing people, okay?
No, it's not confusing. The
The
Chinese players say Uzi. His Weibo in the... No, okay, let's make the statement. We were told how to pronounce his name based on our Chinese journalist, Fei Lon, telling us how to say the name based on Uzi's Weibo.
Fei Lon is not a journalist, first of all.
but
we were talking about use.
I'm just saying,
but
like,
it's
they told us how to
we're
say the name, that's
pronouncing
how we
based
say
on
it.
the way we see the Chinese pronounce it. That's all.
And it makes sense. It really makes sense, because in Chinese, if you only pronounce Uzi, it's just our English is not that good. So if you say Uzi, we will just say, where's the I? Where's the I? So that's why we always have to pronounce letter by letter by letter. And that's why a lot of FCCF or any other name you pronounce letter by letter. So it was really weird when it's not. It makes sense that he wants it to be go by Uzi, but I don't know where that come from. Uzi, no, I don't know.
But I'm just saying, I got flamed.
Well, for me, it's more like relating to the audience, so I'm just saying Uzi because that's the currently like accepted form of the name.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it can, like, I'm saying that it doesn't matter that much because the Chinese players will say it this way, and like, but he's okay with it being said Uzi, so we'll just say it some way.
I was told when I started casting to say it Uzi. That's the way that I will always say it, and like that's the way he says it. So. That's how I feel.
Just said I got wrecked. It's true. I got wrecked. I got wrecked by the ladies.
Get the fuck out, Hugo! Like, get out of here. You look at... No, here's the link. Anyone, like, throws that at me, I always link to Uzi I's ASL challenge where he dumps the bucket of ice, and he literally...
Oh, he says Uzi I.
He says Uzi I. He introduces himself, so it's not like he like, literally, oh, my name is Uzi I. That's how he fucking says it, so that's how I'm gonna say it. If it's fine, like, I don't even know, like, how Kobe approached him and, like, made that statement, but, I mean, what are you gonna do if Kobe walks up to you and is like, bro, is it cool if I call you Uzi or if I call
Conspiracy,
you Uzi?
they never approached him at all.
Like, and do you think I mean...
It's like, let's just tell them that we approached him.
And then just, like, break down all, like, the translations in between that. I would just be like, sure, whatever. No, that's fine.
Shit,
I don't care.
What's next on the schedule?
Next on the schedule, I mean, are we done talking about EDG and Nami? Can we talk about FCZF? Because I think FCZF actually performed really well. I feel like Clearlove has shit the bed, Nami shit the bed, Yu has been super lackluster, but that's, like, Yu, Koro, whatever.
Koro's been playing Rise, like, shit, we've never, like, I don't understand the whole, like, Rise spam that he's been doing, but, you know, whatever.
FCZF is just like, I wish I were Mata.
I guess it's okay.
They know that I talked to Drexen about this, Michael about this, but after, like, this guy had the audacity, he had the gall to say that Clearlove was the best player after Nami, like, Clearlove and Yu were the best players.
Wait, who said that?
You said it on, what's it called? That show with the fucking, I forgot what it's called.
Summoning Insight.
He says, no, don't give it to him. I just want
to... I'm a bad employee. You said on Summoning Insight that you and Clearlove, you affirmed that you and Clearlove were the best players after Nami on EDG. That is false. It is FCZF. The dude's a god, even though he gets smashed with lane. Yes, you did.
The episode.
Don't lie. I heard you say it, dude.
I could have sworn I said Koro was second because I felt like he improved the most, but now they're throwing him on unfamiliar styles, I feel.
If we're not
but whatever, you know, I'll have to rewatch the episode because, like, I don't remember.
What's the constant, like, in China, everyone was playing Irelia and Jax, and not many Rise. So what's about Rise so special in this tournament?
I don't know.
We have
Rise is
no
strong.
idea.
Rise is an overpowered champion. Like, he's a really good pick. He's flexible.
Tell that to Rumble.
But yes, it is
going.
Uncharacteristic.
Go
going.
Play this a lot in LPL.
Go going.
He's the hope. Go going.
Go going plays Rise. Rise is good.
To be fair, Cola had a good Rise performance. I think his most recent one was a little...
His Aurelia was better. The surprising thing about this, the surprising thing about the Aurelia was that a lot of teams like TSM, SK, like they knew that Cola's Aurelia was by far his best champion right now, and they still let it go through. Well, TSM let it go through, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
I didn't know that.
What do you mean? He's been playing Aurelia amazing.
He destroyed on Aurelia.
Yeah, in the back half of the playoffs and in the...
He has a very good understanding on when his power spikes and like kill potential, like when the open door opportunities are on Rise.
Let's get to Starhorn Royal Club versus TSM. Like, let's just get to the TSM thing. TSM first game, pick spans was awful. Second game, TSM or Starhorn Royal Club's pick ban was awful. TSM showed the fuck up. That was amazing play from Dyrus alone. Like, Bjergsen, yeah, he's been playing so on point this tournament, and Korn, that Fizz performance, like, especially after, like, Westor had been showing, that was so awful, missing his fish like that.
Pawn's Fizz was
really
good, too.
Oh, God.
I mean, Bjergsen's just a better player than Korn. Like, and that has never been in dispute.
I think Bjergsen has much higher skill cap than Korn. I think Korn at the beginning had been like a little bit more consistent, but like Bjergsen, from like his inconsistency issues from like the North American LCS to him showing up in the playoffs and his group stage, he's probably been like one of the best performing players, I personally think, in World's group stage so far.
Yeah, dude.
Just to like show the fuck up
in the games
and
that
like
matter,
the
Bjergsen has not fucked up or failed his team at all.
Yeah, Bjergsen has done well.
Except for that weird shot call against SK, but I don't know if that was
Except
all.
that, holy shit, I don't want to talk. We're not talking about that. That's like.
No, we're not talking about the shot calling in general, but Bjergsen has done really well. I think Korn just like has a stage fright issue because his fizz is not that bad. Like his fizz
was pretty bad.
good.
His fizz is his best champion.
Yeah,
besides
fizz
Yasuo.
like
So weird.
is usually his fizz is like so much better than that. Like people
top
will
3 champion.
ban
So,
it pretty well. Like
why-
his fizz beats Cool, so maybe Cool just sucks. Like I don't know.
Why did well? Let's talk about pick spans that game. So this is, and I was talking with Kelsey when this happened. You guys can chime in. Pick spans second time for TSM. They're smart. They switch their ban phase off of Korn. They switch it to Insect. They ban away. They pick away Lee Sin. Who else got banned? Elise got banned. I'm trying to like remember all of them now. And I think the Elise ban actually caught TSM off guard because as soon as the Elise ban came down, they kind of like hesitated for a second. It was Zillion.
Are we talking about the second game?
The second game. Ignore the first. Like that was just.
So TSM banned Rengar, Zillion, and Lucian.
Okay, that I was like it wasn't Kha'Zix because he played Kha'Zix. It was the other
Starhorn
stealth
banned
one.
Elise.
Yeah, okay.
So
So
Starhorn banned Elise and
targeting
Alistair?
Insect, banning
Okay.
Rengar, taking Lee Sin. Elise is banned. That means it's a for sure pick on Kha'Zix. So they knew exactly what jungler that Insect was going to play. First pick comes around. Of course, they picked the Lee Sin, second rotation. I feel like if Starhorn Royal Club were going to play that pick ban correctly, they should have picked Tristana and Orianna right then and there. Like,
You know what's actually interesting is Uzi obviously is really well known for his Caitlyn from Season 3
It looked
Worlds, but he
awful.
really didn't play it that much in LPL, so it's weird that he suddenly pulled it out again.
Played it
Played
more
maybe
than
one game.
he played
He
it
played
more
2
than
games so
anyone
far,
else in LPL Summer.
Yeah,
right?
but by like one game, right?
He maybe had like 2 games, dude. Like,
He had
honestly.
he maybe
two
had
games
like
on it in the
games.
regular.
It's just weird. He's prioritized it a lot this tournament. Not that he's been playing bad with it. It's just an
I'm
interesting
surprised
choice,
he hasn't
especially,
played
I get this
especially when
feeling he
Tristana
just-
like legitimately
I don't think
just
he played well on his Caitlyn at all. Like, why would
No.
you ever pick Caitlyn if Tristana is available? She's the
Tristana
goddamn.
wasn't available because they didn't pick.
But he
the
played.
AD
No,
carry
he
first.
had the chance to pick.
Well, yeah, he had a chance to pick
But
Tristana.
they would have
and
let 2 more
They
priorities go.
prioritized
Royal
Rise and
prioritized
Janna.
Rise, yeah, Rise,
Rise-
Janna.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
If
First
they had
picking Rise for
prioritized.
Koro feels so strange.
Yeah, I mean, but Rise is
I don't know.
considered the OP at the moment, so I don't. It's not like I.
But if
Like,
you're
don't
looking at
understand.
I think
TSM, Wild
Tristana's
Turtle,
worse, but I don't know.
like this is you have a
it's North
star
American.
80 carry. Like
Statistically, Wild Turtle doesn't play any champion except Tristana very well.
That's true.
Which
That's
is
true.
why there's no reason not to pick it away from him.
His Kog'Maw's not bad.
I don't understand.
I think
his
that was.
Kog'Maw's okay, but I still think there's like a significant threshold difference between his Tristana and his Kog'Maw.
I mean, I think that's where Starhorn lost it. Like immediately, just terrible pick and ban frames from them. And TSM.
Insect also didn't play that well.
He played awful. I don't know what was going on with some of those engagements from Kha'Zix. Particularly, can we talk about the red
That
buff
dragon
fight?
fight.
Yeah. The let's talk about that dragon fight was bad when he jumped in, like his whole team was like spectator mode watching. The red buff fight where not only did Insect, he burned his E because TSM was, moving across, so they were on top of red buff in one of those brushes, and he went in towards like if you were going to go towards Baron, and he burned his E initially and got like the W on the side of them, but then didn't have an escape to burn, and so he like burns his stealth as TSM comes, and they're like right on top of him, and then Korn comes in and misses his ultimate, and they're like, you know what guys, Insect already burned his stealth in a defensive maneuver, Korn missed his ultimate, time to engage. Like, what is going on there?
I just wanted to ask specifically on that red buff fight because they fought a lot of times without vision. I don't watch LPL that
Right.
often because I came really late for LPL. But did the Star Royal Club did that a lot? Because all the fights that they lost is just because of they didn't have vision in that red buff area. TSM only just had to go into brush and you're gonna miss ults, you're gonna miss everything. Like, did they do this a lot?
I would say because of the really high-risk, over-aggressive nature of Starhorn's playstyle, that of the 3 teams attending Worlds from China, they have the worst vision control.
They're the most typical Chinese aggression.
Yeah, they're very typical Chinese aggression.
And they just didn't show a lot of respect because
Which
of
is-
their continual fighting in the areas.
I don't
that they
even
didn't
know
have
if it's. I don't know if
vision.
it's I don't know if that's disrespect, because that's how they play in LPL, like, just generally, they'll engage even if they're behind in, like, really awkward situations. Like, Insec and UZI work because they have a go button, and usually that go button, like, works out for them in more cases than it doesn't, but they don't have a way to stop pressing the go button if they're behind.
Right. Consider this. Yeah, consider this. I'm pretty sure if we got a stat sheet, right? If at the 20-minute mark, Royal Club is ahead by even 1,000 gold, they win the game. If they're down by even 1,000 gold, they lose. That's usually how Royal Club plays.
Well, except for the TPA game, right?
Right.
That was.
But that was more.
That was dread. I mean, that was like TPA being fucking dreadful. Like, let's be honest. 2 rods, Kappa. Anyways, so like, Royal Club is a team that nearly always wins when they're ahead, and that's why when you limit their early game, I feel like their mid to late game becomes a slightly more lackluster. Even though the TPA game didn't show that. Like, once you grab, if you're up 2k gold at 15 or 16 minutes, you automatically win the game. Because whether it's Starhorn Royal Club just tilting, or whether it's them not knowing how to play against, counteract a style that, when all the waves are pushing against you, they just, completely fall off, and then Insect starts engaging, Uzi starts engaging, everyone starts engaging. We all engaging all over the place.
They don't change their play style based upon like the circumstance of the game. Like they're so formula based. Like they have to get the early snowball because they're going to play that way no matter what. And if they don't get the early, like it works because they get the early snowball, so they have like a surplus or a buffer of like 3k gold to just go out of their mind ridiculous. But if they don't have that 3k gold, nothing changes. There's no switch that tells them, hey guys, we can't be idiots here. Let's go. And then you have Insect, jumping in at Dragon with no one behind him.
Sorry. Just specifically on Starhorn World Club, I don't know their history in lane swapping, but I'm not really that Chinese expert, but it does look like, because TPA was the only team that did the lane swap, or only that one game that only did the. They were the only team that did a lane swap against Starhorn Royal Club, and Starhorn Royal Club kind of just pushed down all the towers with Caitlyn, and that was a moment where I thought, okay, you could have been like your bottom and top lane could have been frozen, and you could have just nowhere to farm, and they really didn't play lane swap that well. So I was just wondering, like, why did they, like, I think their history of lane swap shouldn't be that spectacular in terms of strategic level, and that's where I come to conclusion. Why is every team not just try to lane swap, try to confuse them, try to let them outplay them by themselves? You know what I mean?
Well, here's my thing about Starhorn Royal Club is that they started to win games, and I think there were a lot of factors that just clicked for them at this time, so this obviously isn't the only reason, but I do think it does have factors. When the patches changed so that the 2v2 lane swap was more, the 2v2 lane became the meta, and we got rid of like a lot of the lane swapping that diminished significantly, that was the patch when Starhorn Royal Club really started going off, because they had this huge advantage in 2v2s. And I think that when you do lane swap against them, first of all, Insect's jungle pathing becomes much more predictable, because he'll just try to dive wherever the 2v1 lane is. And then that also can cause them to create more mistakes against themselves. So yeah, you're right. It was surprising to me that people didn't 2v1 Starhorn Royal Club more.
What do you guys think about the matchup as far as top lanes? Because talking about the 2v1, that obviously you have to have a strong top laner to get away with. The prioritize of, Dyrus versus Cola, or... I mean, do you think that was a factor to it at all?
Here's what I'll say, and I've been talking about, but reasoning, just to answer your question directly, first of all, I think Cola is a player that knows how to succeed in a 2v1. Now, I think we might be disrespecting Insect just a little bit, because when you're, like, let's not forget that Insect was once the best in the world. And despite the fact that he slumped when he went to China, and there are times when he makes really boneheaded mistakes, and he's obviously not as good as he was in Season 2, early Season 3, he's still a pretty elite jungler, especially when not amongst his Korean brethren, our Korean brethren. So what that means is that if you go into a 2v1 swap, it makes it extremely easy for Insect to predict where you are. Like he will read you where he'll put an early ward down, and once he gets vision of you, he can predict where you're going to be for the next 5 minutes. Almost solely because the lane swap is happening.
That's not the Insect I've been watching.
I was just gonna ask Cuba like what he thought Insect was doing in the beginning of, because you say like he slumped when he came to China. He was slumping on the end of his career, you know, between his pickup of the back half from Korea to China, and then when he got into the LPL, think of how many times Insect picked up Rengar and walked around a corner and gave early first blood at like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Like, I honestly feel that Insect really only didn't... Yeah, Insect has been performing much better on the world stage and playoffs, but, I mean, it was, like, just then. Like, Starhorn Royal Club kind of sat mid-tier for LPL for, you know, most of the split, and then at the very end decided to ramp up.
Yeah, I was about to say, that if we're going to consider that from the early on of the season, Starhorn Royal Club was a 6th-place team early on in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like a 5th-place team. So I don't know what the barrier is right
now. Not early on in the season, but early in the split was like a 4th place team. But when we talk about, I do think part of what changed for them wasn't just the 2v1 meta, but we talked about the coaching decisions and how they decided to change so that there was more gold emphasis on the solo laners, and people thought that this was a huge reason why Uzi was throwing like a temper tantrum. But this was something that they'd been doing for the past several weeks, and that started to kick in at about the same time as the 2v2 meta. So that, I think, also had a factor. It made Insect's jungle pathing much less predictable because he was going to other lanes to gank. His synergy with Corrin was improving. So I do think that maybe the Starhorn Royal Club, with those changes taken into account, might be able to handle the 2v1 a little bit better with Insect specifically, but the last time we saw 2v1 being very popular in LPL, that wasn't the case. Insect would just dive a lot predictably, and then they would punish that kind of dive.
I don't want to blame Insect for that, though. I mean, we can obviously like throw it, but his solo lanes were even more terrible than they were now.
Yes, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean,
I do think it was at the fault of Insect to a pretty large extent, but at the same time, I do think that knowing that they were going against international competition that couldn't straight up 2v2 brute force UZI and Zero, I'd assume that in the whole coaching situation with Weigel trying to distribute the way the lanes set up a little bit better, that they probably made 2v1 scenarios, like strategies, and were ready to prepare for them for Worlds, given the fact that they assumed that the groups might have wanted to lane swap against them.
So, and I do want to talk about the TPA in that context a little bit. I don't think
wait on TPA. I want to stay on TSM. We will have TPA to come up when we break down Starhorn Roka versus TPA.
TSM won.
This is the question that I want. Had it gone to a tiebreaker game, had TSM been able to beat SK?
TSM.
Okay, so Huba says TSM would have won versus Starhorn World Club. I wanted to start with the GPL guy since he's not like
TSM.
Well, I actually do agree with TSM because that second match against Starhorn Royal Club, I do think that Darius was just a monster, but I do think that they have it because what Amazing did for the last couple games, I don't know if this is noticeable or it maybe just, I don't know if this is engineered, but he basically sat in bottom lane and just tried to make sure that he's not that far behind, and then he picked Tristana, a scaling AD. That's what I have been saying on Twitter all the time. Just make him pick a scaling AD, no matter how bad he's gonna play in lane, especially against UZI, but he's gonna be relative later in the game. So if TSM actually went into that game knowing these two facts, just make Wild Turtle at least relevant in later in the game, then I really do think that TSM had a huge chance because mid lane is so good, support is so good. Darius really stepped out in terms of like compared to his past performance in other really big tournaments. I don't know.
He broke out of jail,
yes,
dude. He was free.
Yes.
So they say TSM, Drex and Kelsey. You gonna go with TSM?
No Dairu Jailstorm. Actually,
Carry Storm, dude.
It's such a hard decision for me because I feel if Starhorn had as poor drafting phase as they did in the second game, then solo mid would have won the tiebreaker. But
the thing is that solo mid had awful drafting phase the first game, so it's really hard. Like that's why it's hard.
I feel like TSM learned a lot from the first game.
Did.
Whereas I don't know if Royal Club did so much.
TSM, they really took their game too.
Yeah, but they're only put in a position to have that, like, for you to make that comparison because the TSM loss came first and then the TSM.
No,
whereas, like, if that was, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to make that statement because obviously, like, that's factually what happened because it was a loss and then a win. But a Starhorn Royal Club, you know what I'm saying? If it was a third game, we would be able to see.
I do think I do edge it towards Royal Club, but I just. The drafting is so important for that match.
For me, it would come down to whether or not they figured out the Tristana pick. I feel like that team could have been completely dismantled by the Tristana pick. Like, that's...
I think the point is that besides the first Starhorn Road Club game, I don't know if TSM necessarily had a terrible drafting phase.
They picked Zed into Zillion. Oh, you're talking about other than the first game. Are you talking
other than the Starhorn Royal Club game?
And honestly, like the second game, I had no idea what Kha'Zix was doing for that comp. Like, I don't know, that comp was.
Yeah, but I don't feel like don't feel like Starhorn has had that terrible of a drafting phase either, with like a couple of exceptions.
If Starhorn Royal Club had banned Lee Sin, like, what would Amazing do? He almost has this stigma against him that he only plays, 2 champions. If Starhorn Royal Club, like, if you break that, like, if we want to take this to third game, if Starhorn Royal Club was able to figure out pick spans, do you think that this is just entirely on pick spans? Like, that's all that would differentiate these two teams?
I think it was really weird because I think that TSM had a better team fighting composition in the second game than Starhorn Royal Club, and TSM ended up team fighting better as a result. But Starhorn.
That's what I'm saying.
But Starhorn Royal Club had actually, in some cases, better rotation and calls and decision making. So it was like a really weird mismatch.
Let's also think about this, right? And
I thought that game was over after Champion Select, but they made some really intelligent decisions that made that game like much closer than it should have been.
Just here's like some good food for thought. In their last game, TSM was one bad call away from tying first for the group and facing Starhorn Royal Club, right? And this kind of goes against what I was originally saying. But in that game, Candy Panda's Vayne was allowed to get extremely fucking big, right? So what if UZI had saw that and he was like, maybe I can play Vayne in this game.
I thought he was going to go Vayne.
That would have been a little dangerous. I think that would have made my heart drop.
Well, he hovered it, did you know?
I was watching with Kelsey, and as soon as I saw them pick Janna Rise, I was like, this is what did I say, Kelsey? I said, that's a huge mistake. Like, you should not let Wild Turtle get Tristana. And then I said, he has to play Vayne. And then he picked Caitlyn. I was like, oh my god, why?
Yeah, I just think the Tristana pick is so crucial.
Yeah, and so was Lee Sin. They both got the most champions, and arguably Lustboy too.
Lustboy played out of his mind, and Zero played like shit that game. We want to talk about that, how Insect played poorly. Zero on his Janna, that was like the worst Janna performance of the entire group stage so far.
That was the worst Zero performance of Zero's life. I don't know.
That was bad.
Well, maybe.
Even worse than his like weird Korean
He went
games.
like full Dada 7 that game.
Yeah, it was bad. But yeah, so I guess that does mean that it's more factors than just picks and bans, but like I guess some people think that Royal didn't have that bad of a draft, and I guess in a sense they didn't. But I don't know. I mean, you have like multiple ways of disengaging.
But I feel like they knew that Wild Turtle was
for
on
the
TSM.
way Starhorn likes to play, and for the way that TSM likes to play, and for the opportunities that Starhorn had to take things away from TSM. Like, the draft went almost exactly how I thought it would until the point where they prioritized Rise and Janna. And then I was like, oh, this is done.
So first rotation.
Yeah.
Well, picks bans was like
fine. the bans I kind of expected. Like, I kind of expected them to play at least a little bit on the off chance that they wouldn't first pick Lee Sin, which I think it was pretty clear they were going to first pick Lee Sin, but...
Even that, if they just... Because Amazing did play Nunu fine in the playoffs, so Nunu plus Tristana, pretty scary. Anyways.
Yeah, New Tristana is scary. We'll give you that. I think we just didn't disagree, so we're just gonna let this stay there.
Let's go TPA then. Let's stay on Star Home Royal Club. Let's go TPA.
We're talking about Taipei. Just rest in peace, Taipei Ching Chong. That's all I want to say. Rest in peace, man.
Do you want to talk about it, Hubo? I know you wanted to talk a little bit about Hubo, this is your platform. If you want to talk about any sort of social or management issues.
Okay. There is one thing I want to talk about. Svensker. How could you be like? I don't know how you can be that dumb. Like, I honestly didn't know it was possible to be that dumb. Like, really. But like, you're so good at this video game, dude. You must be like must be at least a little bit smart. Like, hey, you know, walk out of the riot kind of what was it, like a meeting about not being socially
cultural
sensitivity meeting. Like, I have to like turn to Twitch chat for this. How do you go from a cultural sensitivity meeting, so from point A to B, cultural sensitivity meeting, to your computer, then you make an account, then you type in Taipei Ching Chong, and then you press the OK button. Like, there are so many thresholds for you to stop. And if you had like not done that, your team would have most likely beaten TSM twice and gone to the next round of the final. Even I, like, as a TSM fanboy, I can admit that SK Gaming was looking really good in their last match against TSM. So, like, what could prompt you? How could
Enter
you,
summoner
man?
name. Oh, this should be pretty
As
cool.
your summoner name!
This is clever.
Then,
I think they'll like this one.
how could you? Like...
Did he actually get, like, the full-on, like, there was no numbers or letters misspelled? He got, like, the straight...
It was the worst Taipei Ching Chong.
Wow.
Yeah, it was exactly that.
Yeah.
It wasn't taken, man. He had to grab it.
That's somewhat impressive that would not be taken.
Like, literally, when I saw those words on the screen, I said, I'm really impressed. I didn't know that this is really a breakthrough in science, because I didn't know someone could be, have this kind of moment of clarity to write Taipei Ching Chong as their summoner name in Taiwan.
And then to also go on and apparently troll, like, one of his
some high school
Taiwanese
kid
fans. Yeah, that was pretty...
Some high school kid who apparently like really liked him and said, oh my god, this is Svenskeren.
So that was the incident? That's unfortunate.
Well, no, so here's what I think. I assume that his name was originally Svenskeren, right? And then the kid found him, and then after the kid found him, he changed it to Taipei Ching Chong. Which is, holy shit, that's like next level troll. How could you? To a kid. It's like half your age, man. Yeah, did it feel a little bit bad? Just a little bit? No? God.
TPA...
Also, the whole TSM management thing, yeah, flame Loco and Reggie all you want, because even I can admit that they deserve a little bit of flambe for some of the things that they've said. All I want to say is that it's not right to flame someone's fucking father on Reddit, okay? Like, look, it's a guy's dad. Who really cares what Dadarus says?
That's what I was saying.
I follow Dadarus on Twitter because I think what he has to say is insightful. But if he's defending, the team that his son is in, why do you have to flame him on the Reddit? Okay?
He's just a dad. Like, he's literally, it's his son. I don't agree with the things that he said, so I'll, like, make that. And I don't think Kibo agrees with the things that he said either, but just, like...
Apparently he finds them insightful.
Well, no, this is true. For me, then I'll just speak about me. I don't agree with what he said, but to me, it's
I don't
like...
know what he says.
His son is being attacked, and he, like, thinks that his flesh and blood is being, like, viciously assaulted. If that was if my dad heard some of the shit that's been said about me on the internet, he'd do much worse. Like, someone would be dead, there would be a lawsuit. Like...
Well, the shit said about you on the internet is much worse than what anyone said.
Yeah, I would agree.
Let's not make an illusion.
I'm just saying, I think it's more of a crime that, like you said, like, why
that, Frostgren haters.
Why is Reddit and Twitter, like, putting these statements on, like, a platform, like they matter?
My favorite was, like, guys, we shouldn't, like, there was a Reddit comment that essentially said, guys, we really shouldn't be flaming each other on social media and the internet. But that Dadarus guy really doesn't fucking know what he's talking about. What a redneck. I was like, holy shit, like, this is amazing. Yep. Yeah, I was entertained.
Is that it?
Anyways,
is that all you got, Hugo?
We can move on to the gameplay. I'm sorry, I had to have my spiel.
TPA.
That is soapbox.
You take it away. TPA versus Starhorn Royal Club.
Sorry, something in Twitch chat.
I think we've determined that Taiwan is the kryptonite of China, obviously.
Well, I wanted, because we have our very special...
Reasoning.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is... Reasoning, step up. This is your golden shining moment. Why was TPA so much better against Starhorn Royal Club than pretty much every other team? Other than TSM, obviously.
Oh, the thing I was talking about is just really, lane swap really confused them to the hell. Like, what they did for the whole game, I have no clue what TPA was trying to do, but I think they... Okay, TPA first lane swap, if I remember correctly, they lane swap and Caitlyn just pushed all the towers down and Caitlyn was so underfarmed and because of the nature of the composition, they have so much... TPA got so much advantage in the mid game. They could have just hard siege, maybe they could have just hard siege, and they can just take down so many towers and continue to do that. But TPA pretty much lost themselves through that because TPA had really good words, and kudos to Wins, because I really think their vision is basically based around Wins. If Wins is able to, I think he played Lee Sin on that match, right? Yeah, he did. Whenever he is on the side stone jungler, the TPA's vision just doubled, tripled. That's how much impact that Wins on the side stone jungler can have. So based on those vision, they kind of rotate around, run around, and kind of like it's kind of like the Starhorn Royal Club is this dog trying to chase around TPA, and TPA just go back and forth, but they kind of miss their power spike in the mid game a lot, and this has been a problem with TPA since the very beginning. Because in GPL, they could always get away from just better team fighting, really. And in that grand final in GPL summer, people been saying that it was a clean sweep. I really disagree with that because.
It's an easy claim to make when it's 3-0 and score.
Yeah,
you don't actually watch the games.
It is a 3-0, but if you actually watch the games, TPA had so much. They always had so much power and advantage in mid game, and then they just never push it far enough. And AHQ kind of it's 13 minutes into the game, we have a chance. And some of the games AHQ really almost made a comeback, but it was just it was a 3-0, but it wasn't clean at all. The TPA lost. They didn't push with their advantage, and this when I picked them might be able to make out of group, I really was bet on they could fix this problem maybe, but they didn't at all. They threw a lot, yes.
Reasoning is I think Reasoning is 110% correct. Like their early game, I thought was very good, even though everyone was talking about how BB isn't that good, BB and Jarrett that good in lane, but relatively their early game was good. However, I do want to hear the comms for that team, because it seems like I actually thought Prides did fairly well during the tournament, but then it seemed like he had trouble team fighting and using. Oh yeah, sorry, Achi. I thought Achi did okay during that tournament. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get flamed now. No. I'm so bad. Anyways, I thought Achi did he did okay, but then he could have. I think his communication was a little bit off. Just the team fighting wasn't stellar. And in this meta, when your team fighting isn't stellar, you're really put in the backseat. This meta is we have pick comps, we have poke comps, we have siege comps, fine. This meta is all about team fighting. So if you can't team fight correctly, then you're not going to win. And I think TPA had a problem with team fighting. I actually think AHQ team fought much better than TPA did, because AHQ they just, I think solely because of how well Westor would play at times, they really, were able to maximize their impact on over a certain span of time. But TPA, though...
If you put AHQ in this group as opposed to TPA, let's just bend the rules, do you think AHQ would have made it out?
Sorry, what was that question?
If instead of TPA it was AHQ in Group B, swap the GPL teams.
I don't think they would have been able to beat TSM or Royal Club.
Or SK Gaming.
I will say, this is actually something, a comment I made on Twitter earlier, but I don't know if you agree with me, Reasoning, but it feels, I'm not a GPL expert, but it feels like AHQ has a much higher, skill spike, peak, but TPA is just consistently so much better. But AHQ has, this floor down here and this, ceiling up here. Would I be wrong, or...? Or is it just this tournament that they've shown up like this? I don't know.
It is actually well to me myself they really showed like they really stepped out a lot, and I didn't expect this from AHQ at all, and especially their top like both teams top laner. I really didn't expect much from them because they were known to consistently lose lane and really just TP whenever the team wants, and I really do think that yeah, basically you simply just saw the best AHQ possible ever. That's really what I thought. But to TPA, I really like because TPA used to be team fighting much better than AHQ actually. Because what did they originally before this nudging coach came? They basically start out to the late game, raise the puppy, raise BB, and then everyone just protect BB. And I do find it's kind of weird that BB is picking up, like even on when he's on Twitch, even something like that, he will be playing just wait for the late game, just farm for the late game. But TP, I think they are trying to find a new way to try to learn how to play the mid game. That's why I think in that game they are trying to pull a nudging white shield. Didn't work at all. But I think that because of that change of style, they really look like they are performing worse. But I think this is a transition into them to the season 5, to be honest. And they really learned a lot here.
Okay.
Fair enough.
What do you...
I also do want to point out though that TPA did 3-0 AHQ, if my memory is correct. So like,
Yes.
let's not have any illusions about which is like.
But again, like you were saying earlier, it was a
basis,
very
which is
sloppy
the
3-0. Like all 3 games were.
Yeah, it was a very sloppy 3-0.
Thought out. It wasn't like SKT versus Royal Club or anything.
Yeah, like people were like tweeting like this is like this is Southeast Asia 3-0 right here. Like holy.
They never watched those games. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. You're in. Good,
Oh my god.
Good.
You're in good company.
Good company for never watched a.
You're the most misunderstood group on Reddit.
No,
on Twitter.
I totally. Oh right. Out of the GPL teams, and I'll leave it to you guys. As far as standout performance, we talked about FCZF, and let's open this up to EDG, Starhorn Royal Club, AHQ, and TPA. Is there any players, and reasoning for like GPL specifically, was there any players on TPA or AHQ that in the season didn't show up, and then on the world stage just like went completely out of their mind, like went mental and just were playing like the games of their lives? Like you talked about how AHQ probably played the best that they've ever played. I mean, would you say that there was a player that just had his breakout performance?
It was definitely Prides. Like Westor and Green Tea, they were just like what they were. Westor on the Assassins and Green Tea just he could only play Thresh, Leona, and recently he picked up Braum, but not that good. But Price was surprisingly awesome, like cause he's been a non-factor for such a long time, and his game on Irelia and his game on Rumble, oh my god, some of the equalizer were really good, but some of the equalizer was indecisive. That's kind of how they almost lost the game, I think. Yeah, that's why they lost the game a lot of time. But I do think that he stepped up a lot, because I basically came into this tournament expect him just to lose lane, be a non-factor like he used to be. I guess I'm giving him too much disrespect, but that's what he has been. So Pride was definitely an unexpected factor for the sport.
And guys, I mean, he says Prides. I don't know if you guys want to comment on any of the GPL players that you think just like really blew out of their mind, or if you want to talk just to the LPL players. Personally, for me, I think Cola. Yeah. Other than his last performance in the games, I think Cola's initial kind of appearance on First Star Home World Cup was really strong when he played, Aurelia.
As expected.
Cola's been surprising. I agree.
In terms
but I mean, I feel like he's always been pretty good. He just has superstars on his team.
He's just like bookended by insight and
I think Cola.
That team.
I mean, I was really low on Cola and Corn for a lot of the season, but I think that if they're given like some attention from the jungler and some gold, they have done particularly well for their team, like unexpectedly well. So I think
we were all on the Cola and Corn hate train.
At one point, yeah.
But again, that was when all the gold was funneled bottom. But yeah, for Worlds, they've been distributing it better now.
And Corn, I think, like I said, I think has had some stage fright issues. Like I cannot understand. It took him like 8 weeks to get off the ground in LPL, and he improved a lot. But I think he's experiencing some of those same jitters as he gets to like a larger stage that he's uncomfortable with. So
he looks good in the SK game when he played Oriana.
His Oriana, I think, has steadily improved over the few games that he played it. But
I might get, in terms of, like, I don't think any player really performed. I actually thought Prize would do pretty okay based on what I saw in the finals. I thought there were a few games where I thought Nas, the jungler for AHQ, had one or two few games. There was
I've always felt like Nas can be like good. When I used to watch GPL a lot, I always thought that Nas could do very well in some games. So he was just inconsistent.
The only thing was that so Nas was playing. They were playing the game against I think Starhorn Row Club, and then he got a Q onto one of the enemy players, and then the enemy player like flashed out of range, and so he flashed ahead in order to get into range, but they ran out of the Q, so he got executed. That was hilarious. You should go back and find it. I think it was TPA's latest game, but no, he had one or two really good performances.
Me right there.
Yeah. Isn't it AHQ? Isn't Nas AHQ's jungler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Nas
TPA's
HQ.
Wins.
Sorry. Nas HQ.
I was trying to follow, and I was like, nope, I don't think AHQ ever played.
Cubo is just gonna reconstruct the team so that AHQ is actually TPA and vice versa. He's just gonna swap the names.
Dude, I'm gonna reconstruct the team so that Green Tea Prides and Westdoor are all on TPA. The Dream did. The newly reformed Assassins.
I really think with like
they need a pool of talent.
You put Green Tea and Westdoor on the same team and like throw them in Korea for like 2 months. Look about world class.
Just drop them off, pick them up.
Just drop them off. Hey man, Chinese style. That's what they do with kids over there.
Exactly.
Snake.
We just drop off our 14-year-olds.
Let's have some 15-year-olds that are just like, here you go, train bitches.
For people who aren't in on the joke, that's legitimately what they did with Snake, is that they took like these 14, 15-year-old players. Like, I guess one of them was 14, one of them was 16, and the rest of them are all at least 17, but...
at least 17.
And then they took this team and they just like dropped them off in Korea to boot camp for a while. And they came back and they did really well in LSPL, so I guess there's that.
Let's talk about, because the last kind of matchup that we haven't talked about yet is SK versus Starhorn Royal Club. Both games. I mean, just initially, obviously the first time around you're not playing a strong SK. They don't have Svenskeren, although I was actually really impressed with, Gilius? Mm-hmm. I thought Gilius's performance from the first day to the second day, like, this is a guy that just came out of, like, frickin' EU Challenger, like, just qualified the LCS. He gets, like, shipped off to the world stage. I thought his performance between the first game and second game was huge, like, night and day. So if anyone gets, like, a most improved gold star, that guy should get it.
No, I agree, man. Just, like, obviously he wasn't, like, a fantastic standout jungler or whatever. But, yeah, going from a challenger scene to playing on Worlds, it looked like he choked a lot less than a lot of players would. I mean, after the first day adjustments, so I guess I can give credit where it's due. Obviously, nowhere near as impactful as Svenskeren was when he returned, but he did a good job.
But, I mean, what do you think happened between... Kelsey, I know you specifically thought that SK would be, like, a harder team for Starhorn World Cup than TSM just because of the nature of their play style.
I actually didn't.
I thought you talked about that on Summoning Insight.
No, I think some people kept telling me that SK would be harder for TSM because of their playstyle, but I think in theory, SK Gaming is harder for Starhorn Royal Club than TSM, just because, and we saw this in the TSM versus SK Gaming game, where SK will do the split pushing and they'll play the map a little bit better, but TSM essentially played like a Chinese team that game. So in theory, yeah, SK Gaming will do better, but we saw them kind of they didn't have a player who could get the split push off the ground was the problem. Like, they don't have a player who could do that. I guess Freddy could, but he got banned out, and is he going to split push with Mundo and Swain? Like, obviously not. So, they got brute for. I feel like SK Gaming's individual players are weaker than TSM's individual players, and that gap is large enough that they're not the better team to face Starhorn Royal Club.
Reasoning, what did you think of SK versus Starhorn Royal Club? Just as, because I mean, obviously they're not your region, so as a bystander, was this your first experience with a lot of these teams? I mean, what did you think?
Well, it's just like, because SK to me was, they should have just make Starhorn Royal Club just running around like a little dog, but I don't know why, but they kind of team fought a lot more than I expected them to have, and because what like, okay, to Candy Panda's credit, I do think that he played that bottom lane. He didn't lose that badly. Or first game it was kind of like couple games, and the second game it was against the Vayne. You should win that matchup anyways. But I really think, okay, at least you did okay. But doing okay in lane and giving Starhorn World Club that comfort zone isn't really going anywhere, and they kind of like standard lane. Okay, Starhorn World Club didn't have to confuse themselves in the beginning. Then they kind of team fight a little bit more than they should have, and then cause SK, I really don't know, cause in the scrims I don't know if I should. TPA's player, I do value them. Some of them have really good like better mechanics, but the scrims, from the results what I heard about from like SK versus TPA, it went really badly for TPA, like really badly. So I thought, oh, SK might have like stronger mechanics that I didn't know. But apparently no, and they just really team fought way too much against Starhorn Royal Club.
I mean, I also do think we have to credit Starhorn with forcing them into a position where they did have to team fight, because
is this an issue though?
Because UCI did play these like hyper carry champions that are great at 1v1ing Tristana and Bane. So I mean, like, you couldn't split push against them because UCI would just crush you 1v1. So they were forced to team fight, which is very unfavorable for them, and obviously Starhorn's going to win in that department.
I mean, I agree, but I don't know if it was so much Starhorn Royal Club forcing the team fight so much as SK, because initially, like, the first game, Freddy played Mundo and, like, played out of his mind, like, was just ridiculously trying to hard carry the team. SK can't really do anything. If Freddy's not there, they're just going to get steamrolled over. So was this an issue that Starhorn World Cup, forced SK, or that SK was just so far behind in every other lane that was the only thing that they could do?
I think a lot of times, like, Julius and Candy Panda actually mispositioned quite a bit in that game as well. And Freddy was the only real threat on the team just because of how poorly all the lanes did except for top, which you saw SK do well off of that because they were forced to essentially focus Freddy, and Freddy was just so hard to kill. But
he's like
after
a tank, like the Batmobile, just like mowing down through people.
Yeah, but after they got like their last whispers and things like that, he was a lot easier to kind of kill more quickly, and then the rest of the team fell after that. So he didn't have the real threat, the kind of damage that he would have had on the champions that he got banned against, like Aatrox and Italy and things like that.
I want to talk about, since you brought up champions, picks, and bans, and I want to talk about Rumble specifically, because I think Rumble has kind of been, Rumble and Janna have obviously been kind of the standouts, so far as, like, picks that maybe weren't initially expected coming into this. And I want to get your guys' opinions on why you think Samsung White was the first one. Looper ran it first, against EDG.
Yeah.
And I think they also ran Janna first. No, they played Nami in the first game. I can't remember who started the Janna. At least on group stage. Don't hurt yourselves.
The Janna. I thought it was the. Wait.
Why
was it FCZF?
No,
it wasn't,
I don't want to say it wasn't FCZF.
I think it was TPA, actually.
Okay.
Why?
They ran Janna Lucian in their first game against Royal.
Break down the champions. Why do you think they're strong right now? Why do you think they're making the appearance that they are, and the impact? Are they that strong? Like, you can also, argue to the other point that, Rumble's not that strong. It was just, like, working in this one instance Because, I mean, we've seen a lot of Rumble versus Rise, actually, which is kind of a funky matchup.
Well, like
the champions that have been played, like, we're talking about, like, Rumble in general, right? They've been played a lot in scrims. The only, like, new champion that we've seen in this tournament that hasn't been, spammed in scrims is the fucking Swain top by Freddy122.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That dude is a monster. Like, I don't know
maybe,
what
like,
else
Caitlyn.
It sucks to be Freddy, dude.
Yeah.
Although I guess EDG was playing some Caitlyn in scrims.
He gets 3 champs banned against him. He gets like 5v1 the entire game, and then he wins the game and then gets booed on stage. Like, seriously? Sucks to be Freddy, man.
But
Yeah, he did well.
yeah, Freddy did play well, but I think not SK Gaming. We're talking about Rumble and Janna. Not necessarily that they would like stand out, because Janna was picking up some steam. People were speculating that Rumble was going to be a really good Maokai counter, and I think that's what it kind of came down to initially. Is that okay? Maokai has gotten nerfed enough that we can kind of let him through, and if people are going to first pick the Maokai, we can easily just counter it with the Rumble. Also, Rumble started to fall out of favor during lane swaps after he got nerfed, such that he couldn't really last hit under tower anymore. But now that lane swaps are much less popular, he can be played like much more effectively again. He's also good like after level 4, level 5, when he gets like that power spike. He's also pretty good against Rise. So until he kind of falls off a little bit after mid game. But yeah, so because I think Maokai and Rise are just really good picks right now, that makes Rumble that much better of a pick, and also because it is a teamfight meta, as Hubo likes to remind us like almost every episode. Rumble is... I mean, it's true. I'm not saying that he's wrong to remind us every episode, but Equalizer obviously is a very valuable tool for team fighting, as we saw in the TSM game, where TSM did manage to outfight Starhorn Royal Club.
The reason why I wanted to talk about champion picks is because I wanted to talk a little bit about Jesus, since we were kind of on the topic of SK, and it's come to my attention, correct me if I'm wrong, but his champion pool is Ahri, Ziggs, and Orianna, yes?
Jesus is a very good mid laner.
I don't know, are we talking about like what he did farm on, or what he played at Worlds?
What he... I was very curious that he didn't pick up Zilean when it was given to him a few times, and I was told repeatedly that his champion pool is Ahri, Ziggs, and Orianna. And I wanted to talk about, obviously Dade, a lot of people credit like not only that he's an amazing player himself, but the fact is that a lot of his really strong champions are very much in meta right now. Talking about like Yasuo and things like that. So who do you think, like the fact that Rumble is making a big appearance, the fact that Janna is making a big appearance, Maokai, things like the champions that we are seeing being brought out, like who do you think that this is benefiting the most, outside of Samsung Blue or Samsung White, as far as like mixing up group stages and mixing up those things? Because I mean, like as we go on into group, it was just shocking to me to see Jesus. I think his champion pool was really kind of exposed at the world stage, and kind of some of his lackluster performances, especially early when Svenskeren wasn't there to help out his lane.
So, sorry, the original question was who will we see?
We talked about Janna and Rumble, and I wanted to broaden this to the spectrum of because we're seeing these champions and because all of the champions we're seeing, who do you think that this is going to help? Like, which teams do you think are perfectly in meta right now? You say, okay, see, that's what I wanted. Thank you. He got the softball question. I'm like throwing it to Balls, like Rumble player.
Yeah. First of all, Balls is a Rumble player. Second of all, Janna seems like a very Lemon Nation-esque champion. Third of all, Assassins are in the meta right now, which
Kelsey's still trying to piece it together, where I was going with this.
Well, I was dropping a lot, so I didn't hear most.
Okay, but Hubo, I wish I could just give Hubo a gold star. No, okay, go Hubo.
But no, Cloud. I think last year, especially last year, because in last year's World Championships, I'm pretty sure Cloud9, especially High, succeeded on Assassins, right? And given the fact that High is their shot caller, and a lot of the games they win happen when High facilitates the game through being ahead, or at least through being, a viable member of his team, because he has the assassins he's comfortable on. I think it puts Cloud9 in a very nice spot, especially if they're going to put Balls on that Rumble. I still don't know whether Rumble is a huge like blind pick worthy champion yet, and that remains to be seen. It might be, but it also might not be, because I think Rumble does have some significant weaknesses, which is why he fell out initially. Lemonation, I'm pretty sure Lemonation, he can play almost every champion. I'm sure John will be in his champion pool, given the fact that everybody has been spamming it in scrims around the world. And, yeah, so hopefully Cloud9 are able to
So you think it's a big buff to Cloud9. What about Alliance? Like, do you think Wicked at all, or Alliance in general, is getting anything out of these picks?
I don't know. I don't think that Wicked knows what a Rumble is. Like, what the fuck is this? I only know Aurelia, dude. He
used to play it a lot, but it's been a long time.
He did used to play. Here's the thing about Alliance.
And I believe if you check, but the thing is, I believe if you check Wicked's match history as far as solo queue, it's like literally just like all Rise and like a couple Aurelia games.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing about I actually thought that Cloud9 might have a really good chance to beat Alliance. The thing is, though, is that Cloud9's scrim results haven't been encouraging. Now, I shouldn't put I put next to nothing about scrim results, because look what happened at TSM. They had a perfect week of scrims. They got boned by a Nasus backdoor, right? So maybe Cloud9 will step up, but Alliance just looks really strong right now. I think Alliance is really good, just really, really good.
What about Fnatic? Since we're
Fnatic's not going to come.
Since we're talking about
Cloud9 got
OMG
boned, man, because Lemon Nation can't spam Morgana against Chinese teams because there's none in Group D.
Yeah, dude.
What?
Fnatic's not going to get it. Fnatic's not going to get to the next round. I will Lord bet anyone who thinks Fnatic
So
will get to the next
your top two making it out are OMG and Samsung Blue?
Samsung Blue, yes.
Why? Give me bullet point. Break it down. Give me exactly why Fnatic's not going to make it
Pool
out.
is going to eat Xpeke. Drug is going to eat Loveling now. Loveling is going to eat Cyanide. And Go-Going is going to eat Soaz. And there will be much salt and a lot of tears, but it will have to be done. I honestly don't know whether even though the San data lane is pretty atrocious, I honestly don't know whether Reckless and Yellowstar are going to take advantage of that lane, even though I do rate Yellowstar really high. I think it's a really good player.
Passive, you don't think they'll punish it?
Okay, so I thought Fnatic had a good chance of winning against OMG here, but at the same time, one of the counter arguments I even said on Summoning Insight about the skill disparity in the bottom lane being largely in favor of Fnatic is that OMG is very used to that, and they're still good at not falling significantly far behind and just staying alive. I mean, they did it in Star Red Club in many best of 5 sets. So
how surprised they are by how aggressive the UZI and Zero bottom lane was. OMG, because they played them twice in 2 best of 5s that went to 5 games in the playoffs, have played more against UZI and Zero than any other bottom lane in the world, probably. So you have to think about that. And they still won a lot of those games, so
I think the most quintessential Uzi game, as far as just describing him, was their second game against SK, where they played Vayne Janna against what was it, Kog'Maw?
Yeah.
Kog'Maw Nami, maybe. I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It was like that.
That level 1 through 3, he contested every single creep. That was probably the most aggressive laning I think I've ever seen. Not just in the LPL, but that was just insane from Uzi and Zero. Nothing? What are you guys all typing about?
They just didn't have fear in that.
We're all insulting you.
We're actually flaming you on Skype.
Yeah, we're joining Twitch chat.
We're talking about Yellowstar's picks.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, dude. We're talking about the Yellowstar.
Can we bring up
an epic Leona
LOL esports page and how Leona is one of his specialty champions?
Hey, he's really good at the champion.
He's good at the champion.
Yeah, it is.
That's what I said, and my exact statement was, when I think of Yellowstar, I think of Leona.
If Yellowstar pulls out the Leona
to be fair,
during Worlds,
Yasuo is listed as one of... Yasuo is listed as one of cool signature
He has
champions. And he's legit played
hopefully
it
that was
4
after
times.
the 2 weeks.
He has a world record on that champion, though. No, okay, so Fnatic, we don't think that Reckles will be able, and agree or disagree, we don't think that Reckles will be able to punish Son and Dada 7's skill mismatch simply because he's a passive AD carry, yes, no.
I think it's within their capability. I just don't think that it will happen. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, it's possible.
You don't think Cyanide will just take the hint?
That is going to be their avenue for victory for sure, and it's a very viable avenue for victory. But
yeah,
OMG is also very used to playing from behind. They've had a lot of experience playing with a weak bottom lane.
Kelsey, you've been shitting on OMG all week. Why are you suddenly now?
Have I ever said that I think that Fnatic will beat them though? Like I haven't.
Okay, so what you?
Wow,
no, she has said to me specifically that she doesn't think OMG will get out of group stage. Why are you changing your mind?
No, I
now?
haven't. No,
Ross,
when have I said
that?
Like,
OMG wouldn't get out of group stage.
Yeah, I did. I said I will own up to it. I think Fnatic's gonna beat OMG.
No, okay. There's this article on Gamers right here that has like my predictions all the way through finals. Okay.
Mhm.
On Gamers.com, it has clearly OMG as the second place team coming out of Group C. Okay, just want to point this out.
Okay. Fine.
By the way, so far, my group stage predictions have been accurate. Of course, like my analysis was clearly wrong, but since all that matters to the community are results, then that's what matters. So
I predicted TSM.
Yes, I win too.
I'm a loser.
I threw my money on the underdog. I wanted TPA to make it out.
Well, apparently
So sad.
Yeah, it was.
Star Honor Club agreed with you, so whatever.
Yeah, but the thing is, like with OMG, obviously, their skill disparity on any given day is absolutely massive. So it really does depend on which one shows up. So that's also something you got to factor in.
I think that's true of Fnatic too. So
I
it is
think
like
Dada7 will face check. He'll get picked off. Fnatic will have 4v5s the entire game. That is how I think this will happen. I think OMG will make the mistake that they'll put their hard engage and their playmaking ability on Dada7. He's their weakest player. They've done it before in the LPL playoffs. I think they'll do it again.
That's actually another big weakness they can expose. And Fnatic, that's one Fnatic is very good at, is picking people off. And Dada would rather save his precious trinket cooldown and just check with his face just to make sure it's safe.
He plays like Braum and Thresh, so he like has the lantern or he has his Q, and he's like, nope.
Again, I think the Fnatic.
It literally makes no sense. Like he does not deserve to be playing in OMG. I just don't understand.
Honestly, like Braum is the champion that like all the worst players in the LPL play. Like they're like, if you can't play the support position, you play Braum. Like this guy
Kiwi Kid
plays
effect,
Braum.
dude.
Yeah, Kiwi Kid plays Braum. Freaking
like you literally
Kitties
benefit
plays Braum.
from smashing
You know how
the
lowly
face
I
of the
think of
places.
Kitties. Like,
Okay, so
No, that
pretty
was
much.
so. We talked Group C and D. Do you guys have anything else? Because I mean, obviously predictions. You guys think OMG, Samsung Blue will make it out, and then on the other side, Najin? Is everyone good on Najin? Actually, Reasoning, you didn't think you haven't said. Actually, I won't say what you thought or not. You haven't said whether you think Samsung Blue, Fnatic, OMG, or LMQ will come out of Group C. Your top two for Group C, and why?
Group C for myself, I put of course. So Group C and D. Who's on C again? Oh wait, Blue and OMG I picked originally, and I still stand by that. Of course, it's just well, OMG really look weak, and I really want to ask this question because who is the shot caller on that team? Because
primary shot caller is going. The secondary shot caller is Loveling.
Because it's so weird that after they changed it to Dada7, their wording, vision control, kind of just went downhill, and then
that's so weird. How did that happen?
And then all kinds of shot calling and stuff like that. I don't know.
Their communication got bad. I think their team is having some, I don't know, stresses. Like you could tell they're kind of emotionally strung out. Yeah.
She doesn't know.
They're pretty much in shambles when they went against EDG in the LPL playoffs. I mean, that much is true.
Everyone got freeze out. Okay. Even those, but like, Cool really impressed me. Like, can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So I just thought that Cool was so impressive in the like he's just solo.
Nope, we lost him.
Picks, and then hello.
Oh, we got you now.
Okay. Basically, Cool solo carried that team all the way to the Worlds, and I was kind of like, I want to say Fnatic because theoretically, I do think that OMG, if they play that badly, their vision control, and they could get really out. Like they could get picked a lot of times. But I don't know. I just want to bet on Cool. I love that.
Also, Fnatic, I feel, is having like similar problems in their playoffs. Like they looked similarly shaky. So I think Fnatic, if it comes down to it, I do think Fnatic has a better chance of showing up than OMG actually and fixing their problems than OMG.
Don't change it now.
No, I'm
you
not
already
changing
made
it.
your
No, I did. I'm saying that I think that they have a better chance of doing it. I just don't think that either of those teams are gonna like really show up and be like hugely improved over the last time we saw them. That's all.
Group
And
D.
I think that OMG has better brute force potential.
Group D, like Najin White Shield, Alliance, Cloud9, Kaboom. Who is making out of that group?
Well, Najin White Shield, I really love him. I really hope that Najin White Shield could win the whole title, you know? Just because
I'm not gonna win the whole title. I'm sorry.
I know, but it's just you know, I know Samsung White's gonna have the biggest chance, but just because the storyline of that team, I really want them to win. But then again, it comes down to Alliance versus Cloud9, and I still think Alliance is going to get out of the group. Like as much as I love Klein. As much as I love Cloud9, especially how their understanding about power spikes is really, really good, and their understanding of how each composition should work is really good. But Froggen, man, and those games, like later on in Group D, you will see how Froggen solo carry. That's what I believe, really. Oh my god. Like I just feel so bad about last year that he didn't get to show in the road. But yeah, I bet on Alliance and Froggen.
Hugo, Kelsey, Jackson.
I want to say Cloud9, but like it's like one of those moments that my mind's telling me no, my body's telling me yes. Well, thanks for listening to my horrible singing voice, but
That was awful.
yeah, that was pretty fucking bad. I need to come back to me. Go to the other ones first.
What?
Yeah,
Really? Just come on, give me your gut feeling.
For Group D?
Yeah.
Didn't we go over this already anyway? Like,
But things have changed. Kelsey,
Things have changed.
Have they?
Wait, I need to figure
Have
out whether
they?
I need to listen to my mind or my body.
Immediate gut feeling is Shield and Alliance for me, but if Cloud9's if the meta favors Cloud9 enough that they can.
you guys just gave me that
Do well
speech
then.
about how, Rumble plays to ball strength and
That's what I'm saying. Is
Elimination won't die on
if that impacts
Jana?
Cloud9's performance enough, then yeah.
will
sure, Cloud9 can get
Alliance
out of it.
full China
by
when
default,
they
if
see Rumble? Like that's
Yeah,
the
I mean, but if we're talking like specifically gut feeling getting out, then I do see Alliance and White Shield. But it's also a weird group to talk about in here because there's no Chinese teams involved. So
Yeah, we don't
Suck it
care
up,
about
list
them.
boy. No, can we talk about how Drexen, his number one thing that he hates ranking players. He hates, making lists. And the Summoning Insight episode that he gets put on is literally the top 20. And why?
yeah, literally my worst topic to talk
Okay,
about.
fine. If you guys don't want to talk about Chinese teams, let's just assume that Alliance and Najin White Shield, I think they...
Najin White Shield, Cloud9.
Okay, other than Hubo.
My body. But the last time I listened to my body, I put TSM. Actually, when I put TSM in my head, I was listening to my head. It's okay. This time I'm gonna go with my body. It's
Let's
telling
go
me
with
that
his
Cloud9's
body this time. So, what? Samsung Blue.
Look at Hugo's
OMG.
body twin.
So that's OMG versus Najin White Shield, yes? Because
Yeah.
OMG's coming in second
Yeah.
seed, Najin will come in first.
Yeah.
How does that matchup go? Give me the predictions here.
Ooh.
Because I think there's something, Kelsey talks about this a lot, how she thinks that these teams actually matched up very, we'll use evenly. There are quotations about that, around that word. Because they have a very strong top laner, going and save. They have very less than optimal bot lanes for the rest of their team's performance. In the form of Son and Data7 and Zephyr and Gorilla.
And obviously, we're not insulting Gorilla by comparing him to Data7 because obviously
Yeah.
we agree that
That's
Gorilla
why I
is a much
said
better
in the
player.
context of the rest of their team and their power.
We obviously agree that Gorilla is a much better player. But yes.
For people who haven't watched Chinese, Data7 is our Kiwi kid. No disrespect to Kiwi kid. 'Cause I love him.
What? That's super disrespectful to the Kiwi
I
Kid.
almost
No,
think
no,
that
but
Kiwi
Data7
Kid's
go to
better.
the World
Kiwi
Championship.
Kid, I think, is better than Data7 for
I
how
do-
hard
no,
he's
I
thrown for
legit
OMG.
think
He's
that.
going to.
His playoff performance was pretty good.
His playoff performance?
Dude, against CLG? Sure.
Kiwi kid?
CLG.
Against TSM?
CLG
I thought he was win
really,
trading
Oh my
against TSM.
god.
We're
Like,
really
hey,
gonna
I know
go with
CLT sucks, okay? But I'm just saying it was.
I'm sorry,
not
what
bad.
show are we on? We're talking about OMG versus Najin White Shield, please!
All I'm
Okay,
Focus.
OG versus Najin White
I'm
Shield.
just trying to
Okay,
give-
I don't
Najin
think.
White Shield's gonna win.
Yeah, Najin White Shield's gonna win
Of
that.
course.
But
I
I
want
mean,
to talk
I do
about
think
the
OMG
matchup.
at their
Come on,
peak
guys.
performance has the highest chance to win. Okay, OMG versus Najin White Shield is like the only game that a Chinese team has a chance of winning if OMG plays at their absolute best. But I also think that people are undermining Zepha's improvement. Like Zepha, sure, like in the context of like the top teams coming to Worlds from Korea, he's not the best AD carry, but Najin White Shield are fucking geniuses, and they're so good at playing around this weakness. Like that's why they ran the Lucian, like going close range with like the Bloodthirster Rush and Janna, like with the shield stack. Like he did work on that, and like comparing Dada to Gorilla is not even fair because Gorilla has to carry so much weight on that team, especially in terms of vision control, because of the fact that like Watch is underwhelming in terms of
Well, this is
jungling in Korea.
This is what I'm about to ask you then. So you say that if OMG's at peak performance, what if you honestly think that if both teams are playing at peak performance, like let's just think that
No,
this is...
they're both playing at peak performance and OMG's gonna get crushed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I was just gonna clarify the statement. So if both teams are playing at massive peak performance, Najin's just gonna like shit can through OMG, just like
Well, when both teams are playing at peak performance, somehow Watch becomes a god. Like,
an unkillable.
Yeah.
animal.
That's true.
Watch is just like out jungling everyone. I was like, holy shit! Like, is this the
Muffling
same
also
man I
somehow
know?
becomes a god when OMG's playing at the peak performance. But...
I wonder what
Well-
people. I wonder how Najin White Shield will react if people try to like ban out Goon. Just like one strategy, just YOLO it, ban out Goon. Three mid lane champions, first pick one.
OMG would not be the team to do that with their
Yeah, they wouldn't.
With recent
TT, oh
track
God.
record of pick bans.
Can we just go back in time and
What
never
would be
hire
funny?
TT? And then, like, just can we convince Pomelo that it's okay to support Fursan?
Can we convince them that Cloud was? Can we convince them to deal with Cloud's flame because Cloud was going to be the best support in China?
Yeah, the thing about Cloud's flaming is it's not even clear anymore. Like, no one knows. So
Cloud, for people who don't know, Cloud was the previous support for OMG, and he succeeded Pomelo, who played at the All Stars. And I said that. Well, I thought that Cloud would
well,
be.
technically he succeeded
next-
Alan.
Yeah, technically succeeded Alan, and I thought that Cloud would be the next Chinese Mad Life because I thought he had a lot of talent. It's really sad
good.
to see them go. And when Cloud was there, OMG were firmly in first place, and they were destroying kids. And now they have Dada 7.
Dada 7.
What are his other names? Like
Tricky Boy, Coma.
Maybe we just need to like
Neymar.
export Cloud and just have like some Cloud Forgiven lane somewhere and just like
Oh
they
my
could just
God.
like yell at each other, but they'll be godly. It'll be
Okay,
fun.
Alliance versus Samsung Blue. So we're gonna put Najin out. Alliance versus Samsung Blue. Who comes out?
Blue. The fuck.
I'm trying to make a straight face.
The fuck?
Who comes out?
Alliance, because
Okay, just
What?
to clarify,
Left-
she's the
left
host
broken
of the
up.
show. She's not actually that dense. Okay.
Rogan
She-
is the epic.
just asking.
Don't clarify. I'm not the analyst for this show.
I'm just clarifying because like everyone's in the chat's reactions like, oh, what the fuck? It's like, yeah, obviously she's not acting seriously, guys. Come on, give her more credit than that. Like,
No, no. Alliance is gonna win. What the are you talking about, Kelsey?
LeBlanc.
So okay, everyone, Samsung Blue.
Yeah.
Blue.
Okay,
Yeah,
then let's go to the other side of that bracket now. So what? It's White versus TSM. TSM
Oh,
already made their
God.
apology letters, and then EDG versus
Starhorn Road Club.
yes, Starhorn Royal Club. Okay,
EDG.
first let's just gloss over Samsung White versus TSM. Straight
Why?
face. Just tell
Same
me.
thing.
So it's
It's
on
why.
record.
White.
Okay, thank you.
3-0. All
Okay.
30-minute games.
Pretty
Starhorn
bad.
Royal Club versus EDG. I think, Kelsey, you said historically, because we were talking about this, historically, doesn't Starhorn Royal Club actually have a winning record against EDG as far as all of the
Just-
games played?
It's like almost even. It's one game, I think.
Okay, so historically, counting LPL in playoffs, Starhorn Royal Club has won more games against EDG. However, in playoffs, in regionals, they did not beat EDG in a best of.
Right. But they only played 3 games.
Maybe if EDG tries to find the magic that they brought out against Starhorn,
Well, what about
and bring out a
EDG's,
few
like-
picks like Nunu and Jinx, then maybe they'll win. Huh.
Exactly, I was just gonna
Oh.
say, like, EDG's recent
So
performance
easy.
has been really
I think
lackluster.
EDG knows
Oh.
how to play Starhorn. Like, how to beat Starhorn. think that's it.
I think EDG. I would normally pick EDG in any given situation if Starhorn Royal Club didn't always have this like knack for getting this like God mood fucking buff at Worlds. Like I don't know what happens.
Always. Let's again put this
Remember
in
Ackerman,
the same
dude.
Royal
stupid
Club always
projects.
sucks in the middle of the year.
Remember
and then
Lucky-
at
Royal.
Worlds, they
There's
just magically
one
become a
player.
good team.
One player.
I will
okay?
separate all of you.
I know, but I'm just saying, as like a
Coaching
region,
staff.
Talking
as like
stick? Talking
as like a
stick?
brand, dude. I don't know.
It's secretly because they're
There
named
is no
Starhorn Royal
magic
Club and they're
Royal
sponsored by
Club.
Soraka.
Brand buff.
Okay,
Well,
Kelsey,
if
what...
they get to the finals again, then I disagree. Okay.
Okay,
So,
no.
I don't know.
So, Hubo, EDG, you said EDG is going to make it out?
I think EDG has a clear track record against Starhorn Royal Club. Additionally, oh man, this Uzi
As long as it's,
Name
like, group
is gonna be
stage.
sick.
That's the thing, though. Name is probably, choking. He's not playing up to performance.
No,
and
but
UCI is playing really well.
These gentlemen have 2 weeks to prepare for the next lane, and I have no illusions that the pick and ban phase and some of the pre-planning for these teams will be nearly as bad. Additionally, EDG has a lot of film to go off on for Starhorn Royal Club.
Sure.
And if what we hear is true, and EDG is indeed not showing what they have for this, for this stage of the World Championships, they do have a lot of different kinds of film. They have film where Starhorn Royal Club is winning. They have film where Starhorn Royal Club is losing, albeit only to one team. And I just think that our oh so loved analyzer, Aaron, will do a good job and have them prepared for the playoffs. And I do think that EDG is going to face Najin White Shield.
Do you think people will be, Western fans will be surprised? Like, is it a consensus between this group that that we all think EDG is going to look different in quarterfinals than they did in? Do you think people will see them against Starhorn World Cup and be like, maybe this is a team that means something? Because I feel like right now, a little bit of majority around EDG is that they're a joke, that Starhorn World Cup's the better team. I mean, would you agree or disagree with that?
In the context of group stage, Starhorn's
Yes.
a much better team. In the context of LPL, EDG's just always been a better team. Well, not always, but when it matters, I feel.
Do you think that they're going to show up in quarterfinals? Like, this is what the bet is. So, Drexen, now the question is to you. Hubo says that EDG is going to show up, that they're going to be the EDG that we know them to be, puts them ahead. Drexen, is EDG going to show up in quarterfinals, or are they going to continue to play like how they've been playing?
I think they'll show up, but I don't think they'll play at the LPL playoff level, like directly post Korean Scrim or whatever.
So you're gonna give it to EDG as well?
Narrowly.
Okay. Kelsey?
I think that they will because, like, legit, the week before EDG kind of
Is
showed
it
up.
best
at
of 5 or
playoffs.
best of 3?
It's best of 5.
Best of 5.
Legitimately, the week before that EDG showed up at LPL playoffs, they maybe not the week before, but the two week before, they lost a game to LGD almost like comically. It was awful. So exactly the same period of time, like they split 1-1 with LGD and had a really terrible game against LGD, and then they just came out and they 3-0'd LGD, and I think it was pretty decisive. Like the game was like somewhat close, but the first game was somewhat close, but it still, to me, seemed very decisive, and EDG played much more on point. So they have the track record of showing this kind of turnaround really quickly. So it's just a matter of whether, because there are stories about FCZF like literally breaking down and crying as they're leaving the Taiwan stage, so maybe it's just finally all the stress of EDG's season, getting like all this hate and everyone attacking them on stage. Like the Taiwanese fans probably weren't as warm to them as they were to some other teams.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, unsurprisingly. But just there's that possibility that EDG just won't show up at all and they're just like completely demoralized, so.
Reasoning, what do you think? EDG versus Starhorn World Cup.
Well, I actually want to just re-ask, like, I want to ask another question about, like, do you know how many Chinese teams have a sports psychologist at all?
0.
I
I think,
0.
right?
Pretty sure they're 0.
Because EDG...
Once they have them, man, I'm telling you, that's the unlock.
Well,
Yeah.
technically,
They are
China's
so emotional.
China's
Technically,
coaching staff
Hero.
needs psychologists, dude. We need to analyze those people.
Oh my
technically
God.
Hero said that he feels that Hero on World Elite, and this explains a lot of his like really awkward decisions and how bad the team is. He says that he feels he's more of an emotional coach than like an in-game coach, so maybe, but
let's coach the emotions and make Wei
Doesn't mean
Zhao
he's
and Chow
good at
Mei
it.
Think of
retire.
all the different
Good job.
spectrums of like emotional players we have. We have OMG, which is possibly like one of the most on or off based on like emotions and communications team. You have EDG, who are pretty much the most hated team in China, called like the traitors and the betrayers, who get death threats, who have to have like their girlfriends come and move in with them because they're worried for their safety, who are leaving stadiums crying. And then you have Uzi I, who says that he's not going to go to the world championship because his manager got fired and he's upset about it. Like, you have like every gauntlet here.
Very stable players.
Like it's just
they're
it just
in
comes down to
serious
their
need of
emotions, really.
emotional coaching. I think we can agree
Yeah.
with that.
Wow.
So,
As-
EDG or Starhorn Royal Cup, Who do you think's gonna make it out? And this is excellent too, because you don't have like the best background